Hello and welcome, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the top 10 new Ark Tames. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. In at number 10 we have got the Astrocetus, and I'm putting this thing here because it is a Gen 1 creature. By the way, we do go back to Extinction in this list, but I'm not doing anything pre-Extinction, as I kind of do consider that to be the early kind of half of Ark, because a lot did actually change in Extinction. After Extinction you got cryos and things became a lot more OP, and that's when Ark started to evolve more, so I'm going from Extinction. Either way, this is a Gen 1 creature, really useful just for general PvP use, although it can be a bit big and clunky sometimes, but you can get some serious damage done with it. For PvE, you can also just use it generally to travel around, to mess around with as well. It's actually pretty fun just to go around and just mess around with this creature, but I find maybe there's not the biggest use for this creature in terms of my PvE use, although they're really good for PvP, and also they are just good creatures anyway, and I really do think that they do deserve to be on this list, although maybe I don't use them quite as much as I should be. Next up we have got the Snow Owl, and this creature is here because, come on, it is just packed full of abilities. It deserves to make an appearance on the list. Obviously, namely, it can heal creatures, although I'll go on to how it does that a little bit later on. Because firstly, I do want to talk about its gliding ability, which isn't like a glider which you'll find on the Mwing creatures like that. No, it's something that you'll find on the Griffin and the Desmodus. Those kind of creatures, it's that kind of gliding. You can kind of call it a dive bomb ability as well. I've heard that term going around a lot as well, and the Snarl really does use this to the best of its ability, because it's not the fastest flyer out there. It's definitely faster than something like an RG, but it's not quite Pteranodon speeds. It definitely makes up for it with that gliding ability. It's the same thing with the Wyvern and the Griffin. The Griffin can actually go faster because of the dive bomb ability, but just on an idle flying, the Wyvern is actually faster. The Snow also does have a kind of infrared heat-seeking ability, which just aids for general PvP and PvE use. You can apply it how you think you would apply it. It's quite self-explanatory, this one. And then going back to their healing ability, they use stamina when this is done, and they freeze up creatures of any kind. It could be enemy, your own, or wild ones, and it will heal them up for as much stamina as you have, or there might be a timer attached to it as well, but I'm pretty sure it's more stamina related. This can also just generally be used quite effectively if you've got a creature which you're taming and you've got its health down really low and you still need to keep tranking it out. Then you can simply use your Snarl to heal it up, and it will, it will aid that significantly, as you don't have to wait so long for it to heal up. And obviously it can heal up your own creatures in just general combat and fighting scenarios. Continuing on, we have got the Vonaur, another Extinction creature. Obviously I'm not going to put them very high on the list because they are older on the new Ark spectrum, but I think this really does deserve to be here. Come on, look at this thing, and also its special ability is one which is quite effective, and I really do like it a lot. It would be nice if it did also scale with melee damage as you leveled up melee, but sadly it doesn't. That would make it insanely OP. But, maybe Wildcard should do that. What are your thoughts? But they definitely do love this creature, as in Gen 2 we did get the Vonaur, so there has been re-adaptations of this creature. They've been redone and remastered, essentially, because obviously not all creatures from the past have become Ark creatures. And I know it's relevant to the map as well, but the Vonaur did get there, along with creatures like the Giga and things like that, so it does show Wildcard does care about it. That TLC would be nice. Obviously you shoot spines into creatures, that's kind of their main gist, and you can get them to be killed from longer distances. I don't know why that was a sentence that took so long to take out of my mouth. Either way, it's better over long distances. Of course, you probably wouldn't want to do it that close. That was just because I was showing it merely for demonstration. Also, the depth of the field would mean that it would be blurry anyway. I wouldn't be able to see it. Either way, very cool creature, very cool ability. In at number 7, we've got the Astro Delphus. This creature is here because, come on, it really does pack a punch when it comes to general travel. The Rhinoganatha could be here as well, although I'm not too sure of the dating of that creature. Was it after Extinction? I'm pretty sure it was, really, but I'm putting the Astro Delphus here as I just use it more, although you could probably put the Chopio here, of course. The thing about the Astro Delphus is it really does have a lot of speed with that tech saddle, and obviously it can fire projectiles as well. The Chopio obviously has a lot of speed. It runs on gasoline, whereas this runs on element, and it can also fire grenades, whereas this just kind of fires tech lasers, and I do find the tech lasers to be quite effective from my use, so I do enjoy all of that. And also the acrobatics that you get with Astro Delphus as well, it's just nice to have. Really does kind of make the game lag out a bit because of how fast you're going, but that's usually a good thing, right? It shows that you're really getting a lot of distance down. You can speed with this creature so fast, like a Quetzal and something like that. They will never be able to catch you. Obviously Quetzals aren't very fast, but even something like a Pteranodon or a Wyvern, they will get nowhere close to catching up to you. These things are so fast, so great for travel, and just generally really cool tames. Now, I have to put the Bloodstalker here because it is my all-time favourite underwater travel mount, and I think that really does justify its position on the list. It is just so good at this task that it becomes an essential creature for me. Obviously, it's a great general travelling mount as well. It can travel on land very effectively, but I find it is better in the water for some main reasons. Firstly, it can also glide along the top of the water, so you're always safe from danger if you do need to get out of the water environment, if there's no land around you. On top of this, you can see all the aggros of the creatures, and that really does help in a low visibility environment like the ocean, and they have a lot of speed and agility underwater, and it really does just generally feel nice and easy to control these things under the water. They just work so well in the environment, and on top of that as well, you can still use them outside of it, so the flow and fluidity that you can get out of these creatures is really tremendous, because you can go from underwater to land with no issues whatsoever, although obviously I predominantly use these things underwater. And also on top of that, they do actually pack quite an amount of punch in their damage as well. You maybe wouldn't expect it, but they're not the least hard-hitting creatures out there. They can definitely get some things done. Personally, I think they should also be able to farm blood bags as well, but that is something which only the Desmodus has, and the Desmodus actually later on this list, so watch out for that creature being there. Personally, I think obviously the Bloodstalker should be able to do that, because come on, that it makes sense. That's kind of what it does. It makes more sense from it to have it the Desmodus, but you know, that was the Desmodus' kind of thing, so I guess maybe don't take it away from it. But either way, very, very great new creature. In at number 5, we've got the Shadowmane. This creature is here because obviously it really is one of the greats. It is just so packed with abilities that, you know, you kind of have to include it. Firstly, it is a really mobile creature. It can jump to great heights as well, although it can't climb up walls like the Deinonychus and creatures like that. I'm not actually sure the dating of Valguero, so I haven't included the Deinonychus on this list, but otherwise I would kind of put it maybe around this spot, possibly further on, because I do really love that creature. I'd probably put it in maybe the number 2 or number 1 spots, but I've decided to keep it out of this list just for general clarity, because I'm not too sure on the dates, and with Gen 2 that's a very, very recent map, so you know, it makes sense to put the Shadowmane in the place of the new creatures, or in the place of where maybe the Deinonychus would have been, because it's packed full of abilities, great underwater mount, deals tons of damage, also can go invisible, also has the hydration buff. It's got so much going for it. Also on top of that, actually, it has a natural armor, which some other creatures outside us don't have. They're really great boss creatures, just generally great creatures all around for PvE and for PvP players. In at number 4, we've got the Mwing. This creature is here because it is the peak of travel mounts, and I really do have to include it for this reason. Come on, the Mwing really does deserve all of I'm trying to think of the word, it's left my head. All the clout is what I meant to say for its insane speed. These creatures are insanely fast gliders. Obviously they can't fly, which is maybe a little bit of a detriment to some people, but if you control these things properly, you really can even still glide quite fast over short distances. There's a technique to it, and I haven't got it perfectly down in this B-roll here, but I've since improved a lot with my Mwing flying. This is a little bit old in terms of B-roll. I think this is maybe a couple months ago, something like that. But yeah, really great flying mount, and that is their main use, although they do have even more packed behind them, apart from just being the greatest travel mounts out there. They also are not a level 18 in terms of their saddle level, so you can get them so early on, again making them even better. and they also act as a portable feeding trough. So for you breeders out there, these are going to be great creatures for you. They can glide on the top of the water, sorry, and they're also pretty great swimmers as well. Not quite as good as the Bloodstalker, but still not too bad. And they're quite good berry gatherers as well. So really a lot going for them. In at number 3, I've decided to put the Raptor because it's just so new and it's really been a great creature among many, and that's obviously why it's getting so high on the list, because it's doing very, very well on the new factor, because it is Ark's newest official creature out there. It's got a very innovative taming method, and just as general creatures on top of that as well. They are really one to behold. They're pretty much the Mwing on steroids in terms of what they can do for breeding. They can do so much more, but if you pair them with a mare and you've got that feeding trough ability on top of it as well, you really can get tons of these creatures. You can pluck feathers and then lay them away. It kind of does what an Oviraptor it does a little bit as well. So the Oviraptor is pretty much obsolete now with this creature, apart from the size of the thing. They also deal tons of damage as well. Generally not the worst travel mounts out there. You'd be surprised, and with that gliding ability, it's very, very useful. So very great new Ark creatures, and they deserve to be on the list. In at number 2, we have got the Rhinoganatha. Come on, it really does deserve to be here. This creature has taken the hearts of many across Ark Survival Evolved ever since its release, and obviously Ark Performance Descended. That's what I have to call it now, because the performance is still absolutely rubbish. Why call it Survival Ascended when you can call it Performance Descended? It just, maybe it sounds better, maybe it sounds worse. Bit of a meme name made up by Worms Gaming, if you want to go check out that channel. Pretty great benchmarking channel, and definitely quite a favourite of mine. Either way, talking about the Rhinoganatha and not other YouTube channels which I love so dearly, this creature spawns on the island and the Lost Island, and I find on just the original version of Ark, so Survival Evolved, it is actually pretty rare, and finding them in the first place is quite a challenge. You can obviously do dino wipes, which is showing you the command for that on screen, and obviously you can change your dino count rates if you're on single player. Both of these only really apply for single players settings unless you're on a server and you own said server, because otherwise you can't really be doing a dino wipe on the server if you're not the admin. It doesn't really work like that. These creatures are packed full of damage though, and they do share the same taming method as the Reaper. The Reaper is another great tame, but sadly it is too old at this point to make the list. But I do find it is a little bit worse because all the resources you have to get 100% effectiveness, so I don't even bother whatsoever. Whereas the Reaper's way of doing it through XP is actually quite a nice system, which I enjoy. Essentially, to tame one, you have to find kill one, get a pheromone out of it, probably get a Bronto, that's your preferred creature for this, then get the health as low as possible in Rhinoganatha, and then wait for it to get out of the trap, feed that pheromone to your creature, and then it will impregnate it, go away, and then the rest is kind of history really. You can feed it obviously those resources to get 100% effectiveness, the craving timers, but then obviously your creature's going to die, and then you're going to put them around Rhinoganatha. But the reason why these are so good, you can watch the rest of the tame methods as well while I'm saying this, is they just pack so much damage. They're really fast flyers. They can carry tons and tons of creatures to really big sizes. They can even carry Rexes, which seems absolutely insane to me, but there's just so much great use for the PvP players and PvE players out there that this creature does deserve really to be in the number 2 spot. And in number 1, we've got the Desmodus. Come on, this creature does really deserve to be here. It has Sanguine Elixir, which is an absolute cheat for tames, and it really does deserve all the respect that it can get. It really does make it so much better to tame creatures for official players out there, and also just for everyone else as well, on top of everything, because now taming is even faster, and if you're not that person that boosts your rates to hell anyway, then you're definitely going to be reaping the benefits out of this. They also can farm loads of blood bags to tame the Bloodstalkers as well, and more Desmoduses, because you tame them in the same way. You obviously put blood bags in your inventory and then they eat them out of it, and that's how you tame them. So it makes it even easier to tame Bloodstalkers and things like that, which really does make me a lot happier, as I'll get a Desmodus first, I'll get a relatively low level one, and then get a really high Bloodstalker just right off the bat with 100% effectiveness, feed it a little bit of a Moss Chops first, and then I have that underwater tame. But then obviously I'll get a high level Desmodus as well, and have a great glider that is very capable in the PvP space for picking people off mounts. It really does aid a lot, but they're just generally great to have mounts for me, and that Sanguine Elixir is something which I really now cannot live without. But anyway, that is the end of today's video, and I really hope that you've all enjoyed, as I definitely enjoyed making it. As always, comment down below what is the best new Ark Tames to you post Extinction, and also if you didn't agree with this list, put your 10 in the comments below, and I'll see you all later.